what happens. Oh, it would be good to do you have your phone to check if it's streaming? I could probably check actually. One second. Yeah, I think it's good. I think we're good.
Okay.
All right. Woohoo. Boom. We're live. It's live.
Right on.
It's happening. And instead of wait, I guess, till people pop on, I'm sure the audio and video is good.
Yeah.
And this is exciting. It's good to be here with you, Tanner.
Likewise, man. I miss that room. Some good memories in that room.
That's right.
Did you guys figure out that fireplace? You guys making good fires, or does it still get pretty smoky in the household? You guys become fire masters by now.
Man, we tried to become fire masters this season. We tried. I got the chimney sweeped. I got it spick and span. Super excited. We had some fresh, we had some wood. As you remember, I think we split a bunch of it sitting in the barn, drying up. And I went, we started it up, and then all of a sudden, man, just started getting just major allergies, headaches, and it's the fire. So we just stopped
Dang.
using it. So we got to
Oh, okay.
figure it out. I hear that there could be an allergy to some types of wood or whatever. So we got to figure it out next season. But I just didn't want to mess around with any level of stress on the body.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
definitely.
know,
So you guys just like space heaters, or are you guys just bundling up?
a little bit of bundling up. We got the heat going right now. So we got people here living, obviously Rivers, and then another couple here. So they're chilling here. So we've got not necessarily like an in-person mentorship like we were doing before, but it's a full house, and it's good, man. It's
Yeah.
good. So
Nice. Nice.
yeah,
Well, yeah, dude, super stoked. We've known each other for a while, and I've kind of been, a part of your journey and, Union Flow. I think it was birthed even a little bit before we hung out and met. Oh, Seti, what's up? Um, but yeah, you chatted with me just like a couple weeks ago, and you brought up the school app, which I'm curious about. Actually, I didn't even ask you yet, like where you saw that app and why you decided to kind of use that platform to kind of get going. And maybe I'll let
yeah.
you even intro kind of like like what you're thinking about for the Union Flow community and all this stuff. Like I know we've kind of talked about doing stuff, and I've done a lot of things with you in the Union Flow sphere. And I know you've gone in a lot of different sects with it. And I'm excited for this next, I guess, version of where you want to take like Union Flow and kind of like how you want to start building the community. But yeah, man, how did you where do you want to take it from there? I don't really know what your people know too much about,
Yeah.
if you want to go back to the origin stories of Union Flow, like the very, very beginning, or yeah. But anyway, I'm just saying I'm excited, and I'm excited to be here to talk about it.
Yeah, bro. It's good to have you. You've been with me for so long. From when we were doing in-person Union Flow trying recalibration workshops. Back in the day, it feels like so long ago. It is, I guess, but um, things really changed. And you know, I think why people whoever's viewing this is like why you're seeing me starting to kind of pop off and do more is because I feel like I'm through the worst of a 3 year battle, with my health. And during that 3 years, I was really messed up. I mean, I popped up every once in a while to do a conference or to do some type of experience. But it was just a really difficult time. And now I'm maybe like 80%. I'm doing far better. I've got my creative energies flowing, the desire to build again afresh. So yeah, Union Flow is just like needing to create a home for it, needing to create a community for it. And I didn't want to just let it die out. Obviously union flow, like I'm going to explain it for those of you
Yeah.
who don't know what it is, but I'm sure like most of you who are tuning in right now, because we're at the like very beginnings of rebuilding it, you will have known the story, but I'm going to share it anyways because there's energy on it when it's shared afresh. Um, yeah, so yeah, it's been crazy, man. The whole journey, and again, ready to build, ready to share, ready to contribute value in the vehicle of union flow, and also personally, like with Arun Bulchandani, just me as an individual. So I wanted to, I didn't know if I was going to let go of union flow and just uh, launch myself, unfold myself, and union flow just be a foundation of who I am and just part of who I am. Can't escape it, don't want to escape it. Foundation is union with God and the flow that fusion inspires. So that was always going to be there. So I didn't know if union flow was just going to kind of fizzle out or just kind of chill in the background. And I remember you had that dream. You had a dream where we were both, you could probably, if you remember it more clearly, I just remember that you got a hold of me saying you had a dream that we needed to like, we were creating, that there was like an energy on creating some kind of uh, platform for Union Flow, whether it's a website or it's a community. So yeah, do you remember that?
I really you brought it up a couple weeks ago again too, and I was like, I don't really remember that specifically, but I'm glad it was very big and apparent to you because it needed to be,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
birthed. But no, I don't remember that too much. I mean, I'm sure like whenever, I mean, when I first met you, just at one of those triune recalibrations, I was like, dude, this guy just. I need to hang out with this guy. I feel like I was just stepping into I guess my own faith when it comes to Christianity, even though I kind of was like raised in the church and all this stuff. And then I was getting into more like the mystic scene. And then when I found you, I was like, this guy feels pretty steady because I feel like I'm walking in waters that feel very unsteady. Not unsteady, but like when you kind of like first dive into any type of spirituality or anything, or leave maybe a framework of mind, especially just like the westernized Christian religion that most people just kind of like get. I was just like, man, this guy like has something different and I have a piece about it. And so I just want, whatever this guy's doing, I want to be in it about it and support in any way. And then from there, kind of birthed like a good relationship too. So I was like, heck yeah, even better, got a good friend, which is the way it's supposed to be, which is also what I've learned from you. There's a bit of an age difference between us and so much that I obviously get to learn from you. You've been on the journey a bit longer than myself, but you've always just like respected me and loved me and just treated me as a friend, and made that apparent. So, I've been in mentorships with you and all that stuff. And so that's what I love about, I know we're going to get into the origins of union flow and everything, but just like, as far as just your worldview, your way of life, the way you actually, live your life is like, you don't just talk the talk, but you walk the walk. And, it is relational. Yeah. So.
Yeah, thanks, man. That's good. Now we've definitely taken some ground together, man. And that's why it's like when I was thinking about wanting to do this, I'm like, man, I need just somebody to work with me and help me establish, this foundation and this community. And obviously you were just like the first to come to mind. We had talked about this stuff in the past, but I was just battling stuff with my body and needed to just not do anything. And so again, like, yeah, basically like I was saying, it's just I was wondering, like, do I just unfold myself? And union flow is just an aspect of who I am. It's foundational to my movements. Um, but let that go, or let that brand or whatever go. And I just yeah, I just felt like no. I felt
Nice.
like eventually I just was like, as I was, rebuilding infrastructure for business and coaching, mentoring, and all types of stuff. I just was like, no, Union Flow needs to thrive, and there needs to be a community. And eventually there needs to be voices that I trust, that I've worked with, that I've mentored, expressing their uniqueness and sharing value to the community. Because it's not about me, it's about union with God. And when I received that transmission in 2007, it formed the basis and for everything, so God gave me something when I was just, I didn't have clarity. I didn't have clarity on the way forward. And I heard, through union with me, everything else will flow. It's like reverberated in my chest, in my body. It was beyond my thought. It was beyond my thought speed. It was like, it was God's speed. It was like he was speaking to me so strongly, and it just changed it. If I didn't have that, I don't know what my trajectory would have been.
Mhm.
Um, but um, but that came, and it just led me into connection. You know, it led me into um, oneness. It led me into um, a simplicity, but a complexity, like a connection that is firmly established, that I don't need to fight for. I don't need to break through into. I don't need to do anything. I just need to be unified with God who is within me, and the Spirit of God that is within the temple, within this body. And the body, the physical body, was so captivating to me because I just let go of, like, I was pre-med. I was actually about to start the doctorate, doctor of the nervous system, doctor of chiropractic program. And I bailed on it because I had a visitation of Jesus. And then those words were spoken to me, and I left everything to figure this whole thing out with God. And so the body, when I talk about like this union with God in the body, I started to connect things with the physical body. And that's why later, it was all about understanding the interconnected nature of the spirit, soul, and body, and how how important the physical body was in this whole divine wheel work, divine framework. So that set in, and that was early. I needed to go through my adversities. I needed to go through my suffering. I needed to go through my bliss, my adventures. I needed to figure out what union really meant. And you know the reality of connection with God needed to get deeper in me. And sometimes that can, hopefully we can utilize anything or we have that happens in our life as a platform to step into deeper relationship with God. And I guess that's why, um, you know, when I heard Paul say, I've discovered the secret of overcoming all things, I just was like, okay, I want to understand that secret of shalom, the secret of peace, where he said, I learned to be content in all situations. We really brush over that scripture, but he's saying, I discovered the secret of overcoming all things. And like, man, I really want that. I really want the Prince of Peace within me to go cellular, to go into my every thought and every movement. So I'm still scratching the surface to that.
Mhm.
And then with that, that started that reality in my life and the outworking. And then later, I would receive another, like, just profound uh, transmissions from the divine. I was in a vision of the night, and I heard, help my body find its expression.
Mhm.
And it was after I was in this like crazy landscape where I was seeing um, mantles stacked up to the heavens, like from a distance. As I was walking closer to them in this dreamscape, I thought it was like a tower in the desert. But as I got closer, I realized it was mantles. And then I heard, behold, and my body was turned, and I saw these clones. Like, it was like a clone army, almost like Star Wars. And then I heard, help my body find its expression. And then I realized that these mantles were people who've sacrificed their unique expression in pursuit of another, in pursuit of something that wasn't who they were, that they thought maybe was better, they thought maybe was superior to their life call, whatever it was, you know. and
Mhm.
and so they like aborted their mission in pursuit of another. And so God was like, help my body find its expression. And so then I just started expressing myself, like, without like I I tried to do away with any way I've copied into anyone else, or any way that I've imitated anyone else. I tried to do away with that and authentically express myself when I was speaking in churches and conferences, when I was speaking digitally or whatever it may be, because I just thought, okay, if that's my mandate, help my body find its expression, I need to figure out my expression and I need to just be true to that. And if I can be true to that, perhaps I can activate that in others and they could follow suit in their own way. And it turns out it happened, in
Hmm.
a small way. And I'm hoping it's going to become very big, not because I want to be very big, but because I want the body to find its expression. I want humanity to find its expression. And then how that cross pollinated with my um my unique expression or passions in anatomy and physiology was, it turned into also, like, it was multi-layered. It was like help my body, like the collective body, find its expression, but then it's help my body, right?
Mm.
Like physical body, help help my physical body, the divine handiwork that I architected, help it find its expression. And then
Mm.
that is like a foundation for my work when I'm helping people optimize biological energy, just optimize rest in their physical bodies, because I've had to battle unrest in my physical body. I've had to battle division, the division in my body due to disease and autoimmunity and so on and so forth. So I needed to find how to induce rest in my body and to find immunity in my body, whilst also in the body of Christ, help in whatever capacity I could, help the body become immune, help um, mitigate the autoimmune reactions in the body of Christ, which is like the self attack, the judgments, the division, like we're hurting ourselves, we're disabling and causing paralysis in the body of Christ because of the autoimmunity, or, discerning the Lord's body incorrectly, as
Hmm.
as it's in the scriptures. So that's kind of, that's a little bit of the story of Union Flow.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like this whole thing with community, it's like, I don't know, like, do I have the energy for this? I don't know, but I know it's God's dream and it was God breathed. And so I'm like, I got to create something and see what happens, because
Mm.
it's a call. It's like a divine call. You don't want to like abandon the call, right? And so I'm just being honest, like, do I have the energy for it? I don't know. Like, I'm reestablishing energetic architecture in my physical body and my mind, just gotten through crazy disability and helping others do the same. So I eventually will step back into, I think, a divine energy, the stuff that I used to preach, teach, and activate in people and in myself. I experienced it, and I think it'll eventually unfold itself again in me. So I think this community, I'm sure it's going to take on a form of its own, and it'll be beautiful. But it might start. I don't know. There's like, might start with 10 people, 20 people, 100 people. I know I have like hundreds of people dispersed in Facebook groups or in email newsletters or in, it's all over the place. So I think through this YouTube video, I hope to collect and these people who've been inspired by my journey. Maybe I've inspired them to find their unique individual expression, to delve deep into their union and flow from that space. If they want to come together into this community and just hang out, we're going to be chiming in on, maybe at first a weekly or every other weekly basis, then eventually monthly, and then I'll have other people chime in too. Um, but it'll be a place where, I don't know, we're not weird. It's just like simple walk, like authentic walk with God, and our
Hmm.
expression,
Yeah.
made manifest in the world around us. So that's a little bit.
Yeah, dude. I love It's funny because so I've been using this school app for the past year for like another community that was kind of like birthed, and I've been enjoying it, but not diving in like too deep, just kind of more for like the course material, but like haven't been engaging too much on like the community side aspect, and like engaging with people quite yet. But then when you brought this up to me, you're like, hey, I want to start Union Flow community. I think I want to just make it free. And I think I want to use like the school app. Like, do you know of it? And so I'm like, I know it. I've been using it for a year. And then I started watching a lot more like YouTube videos of the CEO or of the guy who created the school app, and really was kind of listening to just his heart behind it, why he created it. He saw the need for Facebook groups to kind of they're kind of like older, they're dying, they're not as effective, and so he was like, where is a place that kind of like can be the next kind of Facebook group space where you can also hold course material and all this stuff. And then it's really cool because he's found that as people have been building these communities, like the communities just really start to take on a life of their own. And it's usually stops becoming even about like this one person maybe who started the community, and far more about everyone in the community kind of chipping in and creating it. Just like if you have a group of friends, right? It's weird if like one person controls everybody, right? It's like it's free flowing, and so it's I know it's really easy to kind of like have build community, well, not easy, but in-person community, have it feel organic, but like online community seems like it's difficult, like to have it be truly organic. And
Mhm.
so again, I don't really fully know what led you to the school app, but it's just cool, just even your intuitiveness to kind of go towards the school app, and kind of your heart is like, man, I don't even want it to be about me. Like in the future, I just hope that, wherever it's going to go, you kind of didn't even want to label it. You were just like, I just know it needs to be created. And then, like I said, I just started diving into, this guy, why he created it, what's happening. I'm just like, oh, okay. Intuitively, Arun's pretty spot on with wanting to kind of start it here and just see where it goes. So yeah,
Yeah.
how did you hear about the school app? Did it just like come across kind of, or?
I'm trying to figure out the origin of that. Um, I think I was in a conversation with a friend, and I'm, like as I'm planning like what infrastructure I want to have for like my business, and with creating a better infrastructure or system or platform where people work with me, uh and spirit, soul, body, health, and stuff like that. I was just trying to figure that out, and then I heard about, you hear about all these platforms, right? There's so many community platforms out there, whether it be obviously the Facebook that we all use, but there's these just community based, like Mighty Networks, Kajabi, Circle, School, like, oh, there's so many. And so I found out about School somehow, is because somebody had told me, I think that, yeah, somebody told me that they wish if they could start over, they would start on there. And I
Mm,
go, oh, let me just take a look at it. And I'm like, oh, this looks cool. And honestly, it's like this looks like there's an ease of use.
right.
It looks like like I didn't want to have too much cognitive load, like while I was building, Arun Bulchandani out and my stuff there. I wanted I wanted the community to just be like restful as I'm establishing it. I'm like, okay, if I can work with the platform, then I think it'll be easier than if I have to just figure out how to use the platform myself. And so it looks really easy to use, and it's like everyone's talking about it, like it's just the rave in terms of a new community. So I'm like, okay, like let's just do it there then. you
Yeah.
know I did
Yeah.
I literally was like, I am not going to wrongfully or overthink. Like I think thinking deeply is profound and it's a gift, but I didn't want to like overthink in a bad way. I just was like, this sounds good, let's try it out. You know what? I want this to be free to anyone and everyone. I want people to just like get the simplicity of union, the dynamics of union flow, as it was spoken to me. I want them to be able to appropriate it, whether they're in a different country where the currency is different. It's more, whatever. I just wanted everyone to be able to be there, and
Hmm.
um, and that's where it's like, just do it. And so that's basically where it started with the school app. Um,
Hmm.
and I think within it, like I hope people join, and if they have like a dozen people, that they like that congregate around their work or whatever, like I hope they go start something. And I think maybe they just start it there as they see the example, because my goal in it is not to like again build, like I want to build a bustling community, I guess, right? I want it to go well, you
Yeah.
know, but my heart is for those the people in there to be activated in their calling as well. So like maybe they'll go build one of their own on either school or another app, whatever they want. And that would that would be really good, because that's my main thing. And so within it, it's like Union Flow, because I almost dismissed it. Um, but I know the reality that if you give generously, you know, like it's like you don't do it with the intent to like receive, but you just give, and it comes back to you. Like, you know, I just wanted a place where I could give. You know, I want to put a free course on there, like Union Flow Basics. I want to chime in there every week or every 2 weeks or whatever. We still haven't figured that out, but I would say maybe the first call is going to be this time next week, you know, for a community call, or this time the next week after that, if we still need to grow it some more to get enough people on a call. But I just wanted a place where we could do that. And I once I realized, like, again, because I'm in this place where I'm building like my personal business, I go, well, I need to focus on that, you know, because there we have needs and we have things we need to do. So I almost dismissed this, but I was like, no, this needs to happen in tandem. And and because no matter who I work with, whether it's with people I'm mentoring in health or people I talk to, however sometimes advanced they are, beginner they are, we could all use a deeper level of understanding when it comes to union, when it comes to rest. And through this whole experience of hitting rock bottom in my own body and not being able to do anything, I actually came to the deepest understanding of rest that I ever have, in union that I ever have. So when I felt like I was in health, that I could climb a mountain at a moment's notice, that I could do whatever it is, like um, I was activating people and different things. It was really awesome. Like when I in that phase, like maybe people would say like that's when Arun was in his prime, when he was doing like his best work and when he was flowing
Mm.
better than he ever has been in union. And actually I could say, man, like back then it was an awesome space in life. Like I was flowing from union. Met my wife, you know, during that time. We did incredible things around the world or whatever, just, you know, just helping people out with it. Did really good collaborations with incredible people, mentors and friends and stuff. Awesome, man. It was life changing traveling the world and doing all these things. And my understanding of union and rest then pales in comparison to where it's at now. And it's crazy because it deepened, and it's not crazy for those who've experienced like suffering. It's like it, I had no, when you are, um, yeah, when you are like at the end of yourself, you know, it's like you delve into the beginning of the infinite God. Like I felt like it was as soon as I had nothing, I began to experience everything of God, right? And in a different way, like in a different way than maybe um, what the mystical stuff. I think maybe actually in the way that some of the deepest contemplatives and mystics ended up experiencing God, to where it was just this oneness, this divine knowing. It wasn't necessarily the phenomenon, although that happened. It was just this oneness. It was just God does not begin in my thought process. It does not, he does not begin in my methodology. He does not begin in my with my conscious mind. He's deeper than my conscious, unconscious, subconscious, superconscious. He's he's just God is just is. And I'm just lost in this divine space. Um I can't even articulate it in words, and I try my best to do so, when I'm teaching. um this isn't about going like that way. Like, this is just like, hey guys, like, I'm back, and Union Flow is back, and I hope it I hope it can mean the world to you, like the reality means to me, like,
Mhm.
I think union it's like union is like, it's just everything, right? It's our foundation, it's our mode of being, and it doesn't have to look like anything. It's just us in the divine flowing through us, and whatever that looks like, let's default to that. That's rest. And so with the community, it's like, yeah, like, I hope it enables people to realize, become aware of God, but realize that God is much deeper than what they can ever realize or be aware of in that space.
Mhm.
And then furthermore, I hope it can activate them in the divine manifestation through their, physical body into creation. Like, I'm using those words, but it's just like just walk, like, connection with God, and authentically walking that connection out into the world around you. That's it. Right. That's all. I'm not gonna, like, I don't plan. I mean, some people will be like, oh, like, I don't like really plan to talk about realms, dimensions, all these different dynamics. Heaven, there's people out there that can do that far better than me. I'm just like, I'm just preoccupied with something that just connection and rest. And so I want to help people find rest. I know Jesus came to give us rest. And then I think my hope is that I can help instill that, um, and in every way, spirit, soul, body. That's even a limited way of saying it, but just, with my work with people in their health, it's like I'm looking to create biological rest for people, help them initiate that through nutrition, through breath, through supplementation, through biomechanics, through all of that. Like, that's great. Like, that's the work I'm super passionate about. And then this is just my foundation. Like, this is my mode of living. It's just
Mhm.
union flow. Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because yeah, it's like that's really like that's why we're here. It's like really to get in tune with this, with nature, and I think that's one of the things that's so, I guess, like you said, interesting about diving into the more, into the realms, the dimensions, the unseen, which is a reality. But at the same time, it's also, if it's not something you're really just led or drawn into, or again, I'm very thankful for you because I started kind of getting drawn into that, and I could find myself really just maybe spending years of my life really not going in and just really like learning about like myself, my relationship with God, and you just get distracted with stuff.
Yeah.
It gets distracting, and it's this false sense of, again, the spirituality, the wanting to be somebody, or just like knowledge or whatever it is. And but it's so sneaky, especially when you have certain language around it and all this stuff. But it's interesting too that you got that. Just makes me think too of just like people in the Bible just who have been, called or sent, or there's always sometimes these gaps of like 40 or 70 years between when they were called to something and then when we like they pop up next in the Bible or something like that. And you're like, what did those 40 or like what did those years actually look like,
That's it. Yeah.
And you kind of get this, hey, through union with me, everything else will flow, this call for union flow. And then, it's like now 15 or 17 years later, it's kind of like, how much of, if you didn't
That's
get
right.
that, if you didn't get that union flow boom resonating through your entire body, what do you think like this experience would have been for you without that? Because I think for so many people who are in the Christian sphere or anything, it's like, oh my gosh, like, okay, like I'm sick or this is happening, like what did I do wrong, or what's,
Yeah.
like
That's
what's,
it.
like whether it be like spiritual warfare or this and that, or like, man, like Jesus, like, I'm sorry, like all this stuff, right? We get, again, it's like we're causing this unrest when things start to get shaken, which really shows us kind of like I would say where we're at. I've been walking with you for a while, so I feel like it's becoming more natural to me, this understanding of like, oh yeah, it's like we're all good. But I just forgot that's also like how I used to think as well, when you're just kind of out of that mindset for so long. But that's definitely a mindset so many people are in. Um,
Mm.
so
Yeah,
yeah.
and you know what it's like to experience loss. You know what it's like to have that, like how important connection is beyond outworking, right? Beyond manifestation. Just connection is. Like if I didn't have that when my body first failed me in 2014, 2007, 8, around that, it's like that's when that came in, that imprinted me. Through union with me, everything else will flow. And then in 2014, is when everything fell apart in almost every area of my life, not just my health, right? And that, if I didn't have that imprint and that structure within me, I don't know how I would have functioned, right? But thankfully, there was at least a grasp on God's grasp on me, like within me. Um, and it's another topic, but it's just like in some time, like I've seen this and experienced this, that like when someone's suffering, it's like sometimes there's not a place, there's not like a safe place for that in some aspects of the body of Christ, the church, right? Because a lot of us, or a lot of whatever, a lot of people feel like you just need to be better. You just need to be okay. You just need prayer. And it's like, no, it's like you need to, it's okay to not be okay. And I think people sometimes don't realize that, or there's not leaders sharing that. Like it's okay to not be okay, right?
Mhm.
And because it's like, if you're not okay, we need to fix that. We need to deliver you. We need to pray for you. We need to figure out what kind of, scriptures you should be reading to be back up to positivity or whatever. And it was never like that in the scripture. It's like Jesus said, listen, I've overcome the world. Take courage. Like you will experience suffering, but I've overcome the world. Right. And so
Mm.
I think that's super important. I feel like that's something that union, that transmission from God gave to me. Um, and it again, like I feel like it's still okay. There's a level of maturity for sure that has come into my life over the last 15, 17 years, and through the hardships, 100%. Like I'm a different person, and I'm very aware of the strength, authority, wisdom I carry, but at the same time, I'm very aware of the reality that I'm just like scratching the surface of the fullness. And then I'm also very aware that the fullness of God is within me, but I'm not actually really aware of that, because maybe I would be different. But you know what I'm trying to say? It's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, I think it was super important for me, like to answer your question, and I know it's been super important for you. And like for me to know that imprinted you, like you had your own walk with God. God was you know guiding you in the very beginning, and then we connected, and that's how it works. And I remember when you lived with us here, and I was trying to do an in-person mentorship, but I couldn't like move. Like I could barely move without significant pain. My body was like falling apart every day, it felt like, and I was dying. But like I think that spoke more than maybe anything I could have ever done actively with you guys, was just to like be with you in my weakness. And I think, and I can see that like that definitely changed things for you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Absolutely, man. It was like, and that's the thing. You just got to be open for, like whatever plan we have, like freaking rip that up. Like that's probably not going to be how things like go and flow. I was at a time in my life when you called me, you're like, hey, I'm doing this internship. I think my body's turning around. And I was like, it was a couple years ago. So I'm like probably 25 or something like that. I'm just ready to like conquer something. Like, let's take over the world. I'm going to go live with the Rune. Like, dude, he's like next level. Like, he's always training with people who are the best in the world and blah, blah, blah. So I
Right.
just came in like freaking, and I was like coming out of kind of like a depressed space a little bit, just like the dark night of the soul I felt. And it was like, but again, I was like, I know what is even happening to me is really good, and I only knew that and could understand that because of my time even previously just spent with you. I actually had a kind of a I get so weird with like, like when people say like I had a vision or an encounter, because I always feel like those are just like super like, oh, impactful. But like for me, like I felt like I had a daydream, they're like almost simple, but like maybe that's what people call their visions or their this and
Yeah.
that,
A lot of
so
times. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I had a daydream in the middle of the night one night, and it was kind of similar to your like desert thing. Like, look, I saw like this desert area, and it was like this huge skyscraper made of like windows and like glass and
Yeah.
stuff. And I was living by myself at the time, so I just had some like music blaring because I was like, I don't know why I had music on. And Skyscraper by Demi Lovato came on. It was just like an old song, and I'm just like, oh, this is interesting. And the lyrics are like, you can take everything I am, you can take everything I have, like I'm made of glass, like I'm made of paper.
Mm.
I'll rise up from the ground like a skyscraper. And it was like before that, I had this like imagery of like, it was almost, maybe it was like my tower I was building made of glass or something like that. And it was just this huge wrecking ball at the very top, just like dropped and just boom, was shattering everything. So I was just like, oh man, like this dark night of the soul or this kind of depression that I'm feeling, instead of like, what's wrong? I would be screaming out loud, like, what's wrong with me? Like, what is this? And I was just, being led deeper, or just like needing to let go of things. And I think a lot of people are struggling with, this depression, anxiety, this and that. And um, we're kind of like trying to label ourselves like, what's wrong with me? And it's just like, no, like this is really good and part of the process to like really just hang in there. Again, like when you like, all you have to do is just like uh lean on Jesus and just trust him like in those times and in those moments. Or that's what I had to do anyway. And
Yeah.
so then, yeah, when I came down to like go visit you guys, I'm like, let's go. Like, you guys bought a farm. Like, we're gonna get some like yard work in. I remember like day one, I think I was out there like, let's rake. Like I was like I said, I was like, I need to do something, man. I've been like,
Yeah.
and then, like you said, you were kind of like a bit bedridden, right? And then
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, I guess we're gonna be taking things a little bit slower than I thought. And like, but it was so, so good for me. And it was
Yeah.
so, so hard for me. And like, there were amazing times, but I also like even just struggled. Like, I felt like I was struggling in my own way, even with you as you were dealing with your struggles. But
Yeah.
it like allowed me to just go deeper within myself. Like, hey, why does this annoy you? Yeah. Like, why are you getting like, why can't you just like rest in it? I was just like all this stuff, man,
Yeah. Yeah.
so just a warning to anyone who joins this community, it might get worse in your life before it gets better. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I hope that you know that what we go through is like for one another, so that they don't have to necessarily endure quite as great of a trial if it's not necessary for them to get to their spot,
Yeah,
to get to where they need to go. I think that's also really important to say. It's like,
right.
I don't know, like the like the trial, like um in hindsight, it's really different. It's like when I came through my first battle, I remember was like buzzing, blissfully buzzing, ecstatic about how God makes all things work together for good. It was like, man, it was so true. I'm like, man, I'm so grateful for that trial that almost broke me, because man, it caused something crazy within me. And it was, we leveraged that for greatness, right? Yeah, I thought that was gonna, I thought I was like, okay, that's my thing. Like I'm done.
Yeah.
Now it's like it's gonna be different from now. And then when it hit me again and again, it just like, wow, it was brutal.
Mm.
and yeah, so it just I realize there's some things for sure that I've genetically needed to work out, predispositions, environmental triggers, toxins, all types of stuff, things that caused me to experience these things. But there's also a spiritual journey here, and there's a quest that I've been on, not just for myself, but yeah, for future generations that'll come forth from us, children, children's children, so on and so forth, spiritual children, people I've mentored, like yourself and others, um, and then also for the humanity in the body of Christ. Like, I feel like I decided and I was charged with something, a mandate and a commission to take something on. And I've I've done I've done well. I think I've suffered well. And um but it's okay if you don't. Like there's times when I was done, like I was just broke down. And I feel like we need to allow ourselves to break down with a secure network or so, like break down so that we can actually truly build back up, rise from the ashes like a phoenix, right? Like just
Mm.
everything like that. So I feel like that happened to me. And now again, I'm experiencing this, not quite there, but almost. Like I'm starting to realize, man, this last challenge, wow, like what it's shaped me into, it's crazy. Like, what I'm going to be able to do with this pain, the purpose that I'm going to be able to wield, the strength that's going to, be that's been extended to me through it. It's like, man, watch out, what watch out. Like we're going to shift some things, right? So
Mm-hmm.
whether it's shifting things in people's body in a practical way, from autoimmunity to immunity, or from dis-ease to health, or then from health to supra optimal health, and then from that to these mystical things that we've talked about, whether it be transfiguration, and then what is it, long life, and what does that look like, all of that stuff, like that's all on the table still, like that's all in my heart still. But I feel like I the breakdowns have caused me to have to connect deeper within myself to get to actually understand the wheel work of my mind, the rotations of consciousness, how my body functions, all this stuff. Like, so I remember when God kind of, I was speaking a lot like on some like the mystical, transcendent realities. They're still realities, I think most of them. And I was told, how can you transcend something you don't understand your connection with? So that took me on a journey of like getting connected with my mind, with my body, and all of these things have served a purpose, and my suffering has been a vehicle for that. And also the adventures and the incredible things I've done have been a vehicle for that. And like you said, like we have this small farm, and you know we're trying to get more connected to the land, because when we talk about mystical things like answering the groan of creation on a practical level, one of those things looks like restoring the topsoil or regenerative agriculture, things that Carlisle, my wife, for those of you who don't know, is like super passionate about. And that's being super passionate about something mystical, but in a practical way, right? Um, and yeah, so let's go,
Yeah.
um, yeah.
It's exciting, man. It's like, yeah, I'm just excited for where the community goes. I've noticed a change in you over the years, which has just been like, really anyone who's probably followed you for a time, I could like, probably they'd say night and day, like, oh yeah, just very, um, I don't know what it is, like more sound, more, whatever it may be. But yeah, dude, I'm really glad that you answered that call, that you've continued even though you have like I'm not sure. I mean, like again, you were in really bad conditions. Like there was times we were like, you're like right, can't make it into bed and we're tucking you in with like I remember like putting like 10 blankets on you because you couldn't regulate your heat, your temperature, like all this stuff. Like I don't know if people I know you didn't like you're just starting to kind of talk about it or document it a little bit, but you didn't document it too much. But but it was pretty brutal. And I feel like, even it's easy sometimes to, not easy, but like, I don't know, when I was younger, I used to be like, man, I need some trial or something big to happen in my life because like any big motivational speaker or anyone who's like very impactful, like they have this big story, right? And not saying that everyone needs that, like you just like said too, but it's like I think the thing, even when you do have something like big like that, it's like, okay, how I don't want to just like, go through this and like always be someone who's like very inspiring, like go after life because look at like what I've gone through. It's like, no, I want to help you with the practical daily things because I mean, again, like so many things and people like maybe I'm not going through this crazy struggle in my life, but I'm just like as simple as like having a bad day, even that simpleness. And it's like the more that I've hung out with you and been around you and been talking about like my union with God or just like spending those long hours times in prayer or whatever, like I felt like it was actually getting more into my subconscious. So it was like just naturally, I didn't have to try to think that like, oh yeah, I didn't talk to God today or pray today. It was like literally I just found myself like I'm talking to God all day long. I'm just having a new shift to like a different perspective. And that's really what I hope as well. Just like that's your heart, like as people engage in this community and yes, in the content, but like, more so just yeah, again, whatever it turns into, like the more we're just like able to try to have something more consistent, a place to be, like for me this last year, I went from living with you to, I've been dealing with a lot of different stuff in my own life, having to shift in just new family dynamics, new business role, all this stuff. It was like, I kind of just, I went from being like a spiritual nut, like that's all I was thinking about, just like to like, okay, I have to do like real life things right now. Like I don't have time to kind of, or that was kind of, how some people may look or think about it. And so, but if I didn't have those foundations, I would have felt like, oh, I've gone away or whatever. But then I just reconnected with you even recently, because we stay in contact here and there. But like I said, this has just been a crazy year. And I'm just one conversation with you. I'm just like, this is like bringing me back, like kind of resetting me again into that place, that union. So yeah, man, like community is important, and you don't always have like the people around you that can remind you that like, hey, like it's all good. So
Mhm.
to have a space to be able to go and just constantly be reminded is going to be, it's going to be really, really good for people. And I can only say that because it's changed my life. So like if it can, really impact me like the way that it has, it's just like, let's just get more people on board.
That's right, man. That's good, bro. I think that's good. I think we fulfilled the mandate of this call. And when I checked out the comments, people were asking about what's the link. So I put the link, and then I also saw somebody put that it cuts out every 15 seconds. So I guess for the sake of checking that out and making sure that this is actually being established, what's a good thing is that I record it. So if need be,
You can
I
post
can
it
just
later. Yeah.
put the recording up and upload that. So but yeah, I think there's going to be more of these, and these um so these are going to be taking place on the school community. And Tanner and I, we're going to just have conversations like this, and then there's going to be time to just listen to the community, listen to people who have a question, something they want to point out or share, something that's helped them, whatever it looks like. We'll leave time for that, and we'll probably post the conversation on here, but the Q&A and discussion and everything like that will just be for people in school, in the community. um that way it's also just like a safe place. It's like not being announced over all of YouTube, but within there. So that's going to happen. I think as the it's school SK, so SKOOL.com/union flow. And again, I'll put that in the description here, but that is as people kind of start requesting to join and admitting people, the energy that people give us in there will help push me forward to creating the course and to doing more calls and everything like that. So I think when people get in there, they're going to see a little bit how it functions, interact with it. and it's a kind of a gamified community. So like the more it's community. It's the more you connect with one another, the more like the levels you get, you
Yeah.
achieve different levels, and then in those levels you unlock different things. And I don't have necessarily anything for you to unlock yet, but eventually there's going to be a course on like level 3 that, if when you like people comments and respond thoughtfully to them, like you start to get in and unlock that course. And then maybe like the final one, you unlock like a one-to-one session with us or something. I don't know, but we'll figure that out with time. So that's a little bit about Union Flow, just scratching the surface of the journey. And yeah, thanks for everyone who chimed in and who's viewing this. And we'll be in touch. Thanks, Tanner.
Right on. Thank you.